Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. In this video we're taking a test trip after a significant engine refurb. Here's the chart. We're going to leave Chichester Marina on the right hand side there and go through some relatively shallow waters over to Cobner Point where I turn around and head home. Here's the tide chart for Itchiner. I put that vertical line on the time I left Chichester, so we're halfway through low tide and high tide, so we should have plenty of water. The weather's a bit challenging. It's December, so you can see the day started at 0 degrees. It got up quite warm, but there's some wind coming in at around 1 PM, so I want to get out mid-morning and get back. Now, because I've done a load of engine maintenance, I've had engineers in, they've done thousands of pounds worth of work, took the head off and addressed a bunch of issues on this fairly new boat to me. She's a 1985 Moody 31 that I bought in May, but I had some problems when I took her from Poole back to her new home in Chichester. And so I got the engineers in, they did a bunch of work, and then I had to do further work in order to get rid of diesel bug, really bad diesel bug, sort an air problem in the fuel system, and then sort out the cooling system because I had a thermostat that had seized. So I'm on, the engine's been running for about 40 minutes, is looking really good. I'm just making sure everything's fine before calling the lock and seeking permission to lock out. So let's take a look at this. So you won't pick up the audio very well, but I'm saying Chichester, this is Sampaguita. And I'm requesting lockout when available and telling them that I'm sailing on my own. So they're so helpful here, but they normally provide extra help. And they say that's fine, head out into the channel and they'll prepare the lock for me. It's a really quiet December morning. I'm the only boat out and about that I saw actually, which is the perfect conditions to test the engine. I'll tell you more about that as we go. So I'm off releasing the last line that I've left on the finger berth. You can see the stern drifting slightly, and I'll put her in astern there. Now the prop walk, we'll come back and talk about this later, but the prop walk on this boat is incredible. See how she's heading to stern, which is left as you view the video, which actually helps me. There's no boat moored next to me at the moment, so I'm in a kind of a double bay, and it actually makes coming out really easy. And I just reversed the whole way out into the main channel. I'm super paranoid, so you can see I'm looking around a lot. Straighten up, reduce the revs, and I'm just going to head up the channel, this kind of small channel, into the main channel. Bit anxious, bit fidgety, as you can see. First time taking the boat out since we brought her in May, which is now what, 7 months ago. Now it's actually gone 11 o'clock in the morning, but look how low the sun is. It's just under my arm there. This is pretty close to the shortest day. This is the 20th of December. And now I'm positioning in the channel, and to be honest, I would go further over next time. And now look, I'm reaching down for the throttle and my legs are blocking the tiller. Manoeuvrability on this boat isn't great, and I've got to learn how to do this better. And also I put her to go ahead even though I was still moving astern, and that meant I'm not happy with how I was using the tiller during this manoeuvre. I'm too close to that boat for my liking. In future I will head further across the channel. I was still 15-20 feet away, but I want a bigger margin next time. So now I'm heading up towards the channel, and you'll see that, up the channel towards the lock, and I'm just stepping down the revs, because ultimately I've got to stop in the lock, and there's no one around. I'm not in a rush. I've got a tank full of fuel. I can take my time. So I'm going to be docking port side 2, so the left hand side of the boat will go against the lock. That's where the lock keeper will come down. I went and spoke to them earlier and advised them I'll be on my own, asked their advice. They said that someone would come out and use a boat hook against the fixed rigging amidships, and they would drop me a stern line. What actually happened is there was only one lock keeper present, because that requires 2. That would need someone holding the boat and someone operating the lock. When I was there now, there's only one lock keeper, so you'll see what happens. It's quite interesting. Dropped into tick over. Approaching the lock, I really don't want to be going fast at all. Entering the lock. Idle.
Hello. You okay?
Should have gone into reverse a bit sooner in retrospect, but I do it now.
Yeah. Got it.
There's a stern. Dropped me a stern line. Look at that prop walk.
That's our neutral.
Move the stern of this boat. The prop walk's amazing. And now, what they said would happen is they would hold a boat hook against the fixed rigging, and I would just need to hold the stern line. But because there's now only one lock keeper, that isn't going to work, because he's holding it, but he's going to have to go inside. So he now asked me to rig a line around one of the vertical fixed lines on the lock.
Okay. I do.
And I'm not prepared well enough. I have lines, but they're not in good shape. So this is embarrassing, but this is a warts and all video. In future, and indeed on the return, I have a line already amidships, ready to be used against one of the fixed lock lines if I need it.
Yep.
And the irony is I didn't even need it on the way back, because there were then 2 people at the lock. But in future I will always be prepared if I'm alone on the boat. But hopefully I won't, because I'll have my lovely wife, who is very competent crew. So I've now had to tie on the stern line, pick up a line, move forward, put it around the midships cleat, pass it through one of the fixed lines on the lock, and back round and tie it. And first time doing this, the line was longer than I wanted, so I went back a couple of times and tightened it, because what actually happened, given there was a breeze picking up, is even though I was the only one in the lock, the bow of the boat was being blown around, so I'd rather be tighter against the side of the lock next time. But look how helpful the gentleman is from the marina. This marina is exceptional. They provide all the assistance and advice you could possibly want. So now that I'm tied up amidships and I'm holding the stern line, the marina guy has gone back into the control room, and we'll close the gates at the back. You'll see them close. And then he'll start to let the water out the lock, and the boat will go down. I didn't notice this at the time, because this is one of the times I was tightening the midships line to stop the bow coming out, but he is holding off the stern, and in future I need to make sure I have a fender there. He's worried about the outboard catching on some of the
Yeah, will do.
woodwork. But I didn't even see that he had pushed me away a couple of times then, so I need to be better prepared next time.
Yes.
I'm leaving this in real time because I haven't found another real-time video of Chichester Lock, and yet even the next day a prospective boat owner thinking of coming to the marina was asking me how the lock works solo, and I thought, you know what, I'll just do this in real time as an aid for other people. So now the boat's going down. It moves around quite a bit. There's actually lots of eddy currents and things when this lock empties. And watch in a minute. So when the water is nearly level with the outside, bearing in mind the tide's only halfway in, they open the front locks and you end up with a flood of water in from towards the bow of the ship, and the boat heads backwards. And this is why you just need to have the rope over the cleat and just use it to control it. And I was thinking back after this, the last time I was in a lock on a boat was in the Panama Canal, when I helped the Mothership YouTube channel team go through the lock. I'll put a link to that in the description of this video if you want to see me and that lovely family heading through the Panama Canal locks. It was an incredible experience. So yeah, no fender at the stern, so that I'm having to hold off as the water floods around. Oh yeah, that's right. So when he opened the lock gates, the water in the lock was higher than the water outside the lock, and you just saw the boat surge forward then. But under good control. And now it's all balancing up. Look, the boat's moving back of its own accord. So now I tie up the stern, head back amidships, release the line that I had on one of those static vertical lines. You can see them there, they're the ones with the yellow plastic on the outside. And so I release midships, come back, release the stern, he gives me a shove, and we head out. Final word on Chichester Marina for those interested: it is a wonderful marina. It is 5-star.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I'll give you.
There's a great team there. They patrol several times a day. They keep your boat safe. They also check lines. They'll adjust them if necessary.
Thank you.
So your boats are really safe. And things like toilet, showers, etc. are exceptional. There's a restaurant that's lovely. There's a cafe that's
Thank you so
fantastic.
much.
There's some small businesses. I've used the engine maintenance company there. It is a wonderful base to keep your boat, and I'm so happy that I'm there. I'm on my own. I want to do this engine test. We've done a lot of work that I'll tell you about in a minute. My dad couldn't make it down, unfortunately, but there was just this window of weather and tide that I needed to make the most of. So I'm quite apprehensive. So on the way down, I went to Forceful Chandlery and bought a man overboard AIS transmitter, and it's in my top left pocket on my left breast, and if I fall overboard then I can press and hold a button and it will send out an AIS warning alert, emergency alert, to nearby boats. I'm going to minimise heading up on deck for safety reasons, so I'm actually just going to leave my fenders out on this test ride, and even though I've got a bow fender as well, which will look a bit stupid, but safety is the most important thing here. So you'll only see me go up once or twice. Even though it's tide's halfway in, look, you can see there's plenty of water. When the tide is out, this area is literally like a canal through the mud. It is crazy. There's a beautiful channel, but already there's a wide expanse of water, but it's actually quite shallow to my left and right. And so I am, you'll see me pick my phone up a couple of times. I do just want to make sure I stay in the channel. And as I got out, well, I'll tell you in a minute, I can't remember now, it was about 8 degrees or so. It was quite cold, so yeah, the hat and gloves go on. And I'm wondering, I bought a line on the way down also from the Forceful Chandlery, and I'm just rigging it around the tiller to provide a bit of resistance, because these Moody 31s do pivot when you take your hand off the tiller, and I do want to be able to be mobile around the boat if I need to. I'm just working out, is one loop or two the best, so that's why I'm fiddling with that. So hopefully the microphone's working. Let's talk about what we're doing today. We are doing an engine test. I bought this boat in May, sailed it with my dad from Poole, or Wareham near Poole, all the way to Chichester Marina, and she's been there ever since. And it's now a week before Christmas, and in Chichester we had loads of engine work done, had to get rid of a load of diesel bug, I had air getting into the fuel lines, I had a seized up thermostat, so then it would overheat, but we did all of that. And I just then saw the weather and the tides were perfect today to head out and do a little test drive. It's heading towards about 10 degrees C, so it's not that cold. There's some wind coming later, but at the moment it's not too bad. Where I am now it's only 7 knots. My dad couldn't make it, unfortunately, but that's alright. It's so quiet, it's actually quite stress-free to go out for the first time, and I do want to be able to go out on my own, and I do need to learn how the boat behaves in various manoeuvres and winds and tides. So I'm not going to anchor, I'm not going to sail. I'm heading out from Chichester Marina in the direction of East Head, but I might get there, I might not, because I kind of want to be back by 1:30 before some winds pick up and some rain sets in. And I'm on a rising tide, so it's all very safe. Even if I have a problem, I'm not going to kind of be stranded. So that's what we're doing. I hope you enjoy coming along on the video. I'll just give you some views because it's absolutely beautiful. And to give myself a bit more mobility, I bought a auto tiller, but I need to set it up, wire it up, calibrate it. Obviously not using that today, so I've just lashed a rope around the tiller to give it a bit more stability than it normally has. This thing's like a dinghy. People talk about Moody 31s. You let go of the tiller, you're pointing a different direction, and that just gives me the chance to like move the camera around a little bit and keep a good lookout. But look at this. So these are the creeks around Chichester Harbour at about 11:45 on a December 20th, I think it is. And it's just absolutely beautiful. I'll just try and give you a forward view for a while. So I'm going to speed up bits of this where there's no action, as it were. So this is 50 times. When you see it going faster, it's 50 times. Yeah, I did not make it to Easthead. In fact, I only made it about halfway. I told you I left the lock about halfway through the rising tide. That meant I had not only current against me, but a lot of wind as well. So I was only doing about 3 knots at 2000. I think I peaked up at 2200 RPM. So I got to this point, the wind really picked up, 16 knots sustained, and it was only predicted to get worse. And I thought, no, I need to get back. I want to be back in the marina before the rain and the wind really picks up at 1 p.m. So I found this lovely point, nice and wide, to turn around, and headed back. And sometimes turning around is a hard thing to do. Took lots of pictures, sent some videos to my lovely wife, a message to my daughters, and just enjoyed the peace. And the marina had advised me when to radio them, which is a bit earlier than I had when I came in the first time in May. So it's good to talk to them about the routine that they like, and I'm getting ready to do that. But first I'm thinking, okay, let's put down, I've got one of these step fenders on the port side. It goes against the finger berth, and it's quite a nice step fender. It's got a couple of steps on it, and I thought I'll put that down. It gives me a little bit more, how shall I say, cushioning when I try and bring her in alone. And then I thought, let's get set up with a midships line. So if the lock keeper is on his own, then I can tie around a static line this time, after what I would consider a mistake the last time. So that's what I'm doing here. These are the only 2 times I went up out the cockpit, and that was very quick, as you can see. Check fenders, check lines. I've got my boat hook just to my right there, which I checked. Just making sure I know what I've got. And they said to do the radio call at a certain marker, so I'm getting ready to do that. Look at the damn buoy I bought. It's probably for cruising the Atlantic, but that's the big yellow thing you can see there. Throw that out, lift it, throw it overboard with the life ring. If someone goes overboard, I'm not messing around in the Solent. You'll also see I've got the spray hood down the whole trip. I wanted maximum visibility. I didn't need cover. So I've given them a radio call on channel 80 as they like when you go past the Burnham marker, and I'll speed this up. But I want to go in the lock in real time, just for those of you who are interested. I'm actually crabbing here. I'm pointing quite a lot to starboard because I've got tide and wind blowing me to port, and I want to be on the starboard side of the lock. So it reminded me, I did some private pilot training, and it reminds me of crabbing when you're lining up on a runway. If I'd aimed straight for the lock, I would have ended far too much on the left. Wind's picking up now. I'm glad to be home. You can see I've got 2 greens, and they're really great. So your radio if there's traffic, they'll tell you what's going on. But today I'm the only person around at the moment, and so they open up the front of the lock, give you 2 greens, you can enter when ready, and look, you may even be able to see a chap's already outside. His name's Chris and he's lovely, and he's out there with a boat hook, so now I know they've got 2 people on the lock. I won't even need that line that I put midships. I just need to bring her in close enough on the starboard side so that he can help. And I'm doing my manoeuvres so slowly as I gain experience. Poor bloke standing out there for ages. But he's full of cheer when I get there.
I'm slow, but I'm building my confidence.
Hee. He's ready with the stern line, and then he uses a boat hook on the fixed rigging. So I need to go astern and stop the boat. Here we go. Prop walk, swinging the stern to the right again. Incredible.
Thank you. It's going to pick up, isn't it? I wanted to get back. Yeah.
So I'll talk over this to give Chris some privacy, but he's given me some lovely advice. He's a very kind man. So the bottom line is, you know, bought the boat in May 1985, Moody 31. She's in generally really good condition, but she did have a really bad case of diesel bug, really bad, and I had it professionally cleaned here at Chichester, which cost me about £600. But even after cleaning, she was not running reliably, and the run that my dad and I did from Poole we had the engine kind of almost failing whenever there was wake from other boats, and we thought a lot of that was diesel bug, etc., and it probably was. However, even after solving the diesel bug problem, the engine was still not running right. This is now going back to kind of August, September. And so I did quite a lot of investigation, and I found air was getting into the fuel system around the water separator. She didn't even have a primary fuel filter, she just had a water separator. So I took that out and put a nice fuel filter water separator combination unit in, and replaced some of the line with A1 rubber hosing, and then she ran beautifully. So then a couple of months ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, me and my dad took her to the fuel dock, filled her up. A lot of advice about keeping your fuel tank quite full during winter to avoid diesel bug, and using some additives. Look at the water frothing as the front lock is opening. And I noticed on the fuel dock that she was overheating, and I was like, oh no, I'd run her for about 40 minutes, she'd run beautifully, we'd gone and got some fuel ready to go out, and then she was overheating. So went back to the berth, and really we looked at the impeller, that was good, because that's an obvious first thing to check, and we replaced that anyway. Checked the water inlet, it doesn't have a particularly good water filter on these Volvo Penta 2003 engines, but that looked clear, so the only thing remaining was the thermostat. Yeah, and also on that day she has got a calorifier, and there was no hot water out the hot tap, so it didn't sound like water was circulating properly. So ordered a couple of thermostats because I like to have a spare, replaced that a couple of weeks ago, ran her up for ages, she didn't overheat. I bought a water temperature meter as well, which I'll show you in another video, and she didn't overheat. And so things looked pretty good. And also, yeah, there was hot water out the hot water taps. The calorifier was getting water. And I didn't think I'd be able to take her out to the new year. And then this little weather tide window opened, and here we are. So I'm leaving the lock. I want to head into my area on the left, and just my luck, I think, on my first trip out. By the way, the fuel pontoon's on the right there, you can see. But there is another boat about, and it's heading towards me, and so I just do the obvious thing, which is slow right down, keep out of the way. We'll let it pass. It'll even give us a little bit of wake to test the engine. This is an engine test after all. So no drama. The outcome of this is obviously a good one. The engine didn't miss a beat. Under load, I took it up to 2,200, 2,300 revs. Down to idle, ahead of stern, everything in a little bit of wake from this boat, not much. There's no doubt in my mind we fixed all the issues, and all the refurbishment that we had the engineers do. They took the engine head off, sent it away. They replaced one of the injectors that was leaking. They solved another air in fuel problem from the bleed bolt on an area of the fuel system. I can show you in a later video. So we had lots of work done, but I think it was a good investment, given that the engine is now running very reliably. So I'll let the motorboat go into the lock, and then we'll head in. So I've got a rising wind, so we're now at about, I mean, it's quite sheltered here in the marina, as you can see, but the general wind conditions are about 15 knots. They're on my stern at the moment, so I want to turn to port, which means the wind's going to be on the port side. Here we turn, start to turn. So I'm going to stay close to the boats that are on my left, because the wind wants to blow me to the right. And with nobody around, I'm not in any rush, I'm under no pressure whatsoever. And the steering on the boat still feels really positive, so I don't feel I need to go quicker. It's not like go quicker to have more authority. I'm quite happy to go quite slowly, and so I just enter nice and slow. I'll talk to you about it on the video in a minute, so I won't give too much details here. And I just have to decide when to make my turn and how I'm going to stop. And I'm expecting the wind, because my berth's on the right, I'm expecting the wind to then push me into like the walkway at the end, which it doesn't in a surprising way. I think because of the step fender that I flipped down earlier in the video, catching on a berth fender that you can see just on the right hand side, about to disappear off halfway down the screen there. I think the step fender caught on that and just stopped the boat. It was just insane. But I have got a bow fender fitted just in case, and you can see there's even a fender on the walkway at the end there. So yeah, lots of protection for me as I gain experience. But watch as I come in, and then watch how the boat just stops. Like that. Yeah, I'm just laughing. What? This doesn't happen. Where is everybody? They should be watching me. I just manually loosen the line and pull her forward. And then I speed up this bit while I tie proper bow lines. A stern, proper stern line. So I've got midships to cleat to stern.
I hope you managed to video that, Mr. Camera, because that was bloody marvellous. It was probably the best docking I've ever done in my life, probably the best docking I ever will do in my life, and no one was here to see it. Probably because I was very cautious. I came in on tick over at the end there, and then actually put it in neutral, just let the speed drop right off. The wind's coming from that direction, so I stay close to those boats. And I just put it in tick over forward again to do the turn back into neutral. And just managed to judge it right for once, so that it came up alongside beautifully. I had a line ready. The wind wants to blow it forward. I have a bow fender if I'd needed it, but actually she just stopped on the finger, and I was able to hop off, tie that line, and it was kind of done. After that, it was just making adjustments. So it's a bit like the fish that got away. That will be the docking that got away. No one will ever believe me how good that was. Anyway, safely back in the mooring. I'm going to just check the engine temperature. I've got a special meter down there just at the end of this run, but I think she's all good to go. I think we've sorted all the engine problems. Hope you enjoyed that.
Thanks for watching, see you next time.